Hey there, Heather Hurler, it's Jeff Cooder. I welcome you to yet another Degrassi video. And today we're going to be looking at, well, last week I talked about the Degrassi MVPs of each season, like each of the seasons from Degrassi Junior High up to next class and all that. So, well, we go from the most valuable to the least valuable players, the creme of the creme, the shit heap, if you will. Like who the worst character was. And worst characters is either by their actions or just their storylines in general. So here we go. All right. Now, of course, in the original post, I didn't do like Degrassi Junior High up to high, but like the rules are, of course, each character only gets one season and all that to be the worst and all that. So like there've been some characters who could be technically the worst in seasons, like say example 3 and 4 of Next Gen, like that one character. We all know who it is, but anyway. So as for junior high, the worst character, I think it's going to be Shane because yeah, Shane's going to be it. I would probably have said Stephanie K, but she had problems at home and all that, and it portrayed her badly. But I was going to go with Shane. In season one, he impregnates Spike and all that, and he just doesn't really seem to care about it and all that. He didn't really want the kid and all that. And, Spike decides to keep it, even though that Shane tries his best to be a good dad. Basically, outside forces always pull him back into being a goofball and all that. Now, Shane did do some good in a sense in season two, protecting Spike from the scorn of his father. I mean, his father's an Anglican minister, and religion in the 1980s was a lot different than the 2020s. But anyway, yeah, he was hoping to send Shane to a private school and all that to learn and all that, and practically, like his two brothers, fair, but and then they don't have to worry about the baby because Spike will give it up and they don't have to deal with it. But Shane basically tells them off, saying that I am going to try to be a good father despite what you think of me. Unfortunately, though, he took acid and all that stuff. Now, Degrassi Junior High Season 2, um, the worst character? I forgot what Season 2 is, but I know what Season 3 kind of is. Um, hmm. I think I would like to say Principal Lawrence. Like, in a sense, Principal Lawrence was the worst in Season 2, but I think there was like a few other characters. Off the top of my head, I can't think of it because obviously I didn't do my research. So I think Principal Lawrence, to me, is the least valuable player. Like, this is basically based on my opinions. And I think Principal Lawrence is. Now, it's not like stupidity. It was just the no, sign of the times. I mean, Spike getting pregnant and she was at Degrassi, and then the PTA basically, like the parents basically told Principal Lawrence that they would not want their kids to be in the same school as a pregnant teenager because it's going to give the kids ideas about pregnancy, teen pregnancy. Well, I think that probably would have been a deterrent, if anything. Now, of course, Radich, before he became principal, when he was a teacher and was decent, told Lawrence that maybe Spike should just sit in for exams, if anything. But Principal Lawrence basically listened to the parents and pushed Spike to the side. Caitlin wrote a scathing article. Spike did chew her out for it, mostly because, they didn't ask permission. And of course, Principal Lawrence got butthurt too. And Caitlin basically said that she would become a journalist and try to stick it to people like Lawrence. Degrassi Junior High Season 3, the worst person is got to be. Well, I kind of think I think Wheels, but Wheels did stupid stuff later on in Degrassi High, so I can't say Wheels. Um, I kind of have this hate for uh, um. I was actually say Dwayne, but no, that'd be like Degrassi Junior High, Degrassi High. I think I'm gonna go with the controversial move of Scooter slash Tessa. It was the end. It's the final episode of Degrassi Junior High. Bye bye Junior High. Actually, come to think of it. Wait, what was season two? Yeah, season two was the one that had the guy. Well, that douchebag. I think that douchebag who gave Shane acid. I would like to say his name is Tim, but that's probably wrong. No, was it Tim? No, or was it Marco? No, I think it's Tim. Yeah, the douchebag who gave Shane that acid and all that. In junior high season three, that's when we kind of saw. Yeah, I think that was season three when Shane did that acid, didn't he? But regardless of that, yeah, I think it was a douchebag. I would have said Scooter slash Tessa because of the final episode of junior high and basically playing tag and then opening and closing those doors and then having the fire at Degrassi Junior High. And of course, the stupidity of the the showrunner doing that cheer from do 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 during the end credits, even though there was a fire. But I can't blame him really. I think it's that douchebag that sold Shane the asset because he was lying and all that about Shane's accident, and I think he had to pay a penalty. I think that he probably had to be Shane's caretaker for a while. Okay, Degrassi High season one. It's got to be Dwayne with Eric and Tabby. I think I got Dwayne's lackey correctly. Not Tabby. I knew that, but Eric. They were making life miserable for a lot of students in season one of Degrassi High and all that, especially Joey. I mean, to be a bully is one thing, but to be kind of stupid and all that. So I think that he's definitely the worst person around. Like those three were trying to torment people and all that. Degrassi High season two. Now I think I'm gonna make a tie out of it. Um, well, Wills did do some bad stuff, but that was more for the School's Out episode in essence. So I can't say him, can't say Joey. I think Scott is one of my two. Yeah, Scott, I think, for abusing Kathleen and being a prick and all that. And the guy who played Scott on the show actually was in real life a domestic abuser of women. And also, well, Claude, I say. Well, look at it this way. Claude basically offed himself to get Caitlin's attention. I think it was plain to see and all that. Because, Caitlin basically said no to Claude after he left her high and dry vandalizing a, a nuclear factory in essence. I mean, but Caitlin was wearing like these big baggy clothes with like hoop things that easily got jammed into the fence. Like, how the frick can you not get caught with that? I hate the fashion sense. And of course, Claude basically shoving Caitlin aside at the trial. Like, he didn't want to go to the trial because he knew that security guard knew who he was. And he also didn't want to get himself into major trouble. I wish Caitlin had basically thrown Claude under the bus, make him pay. Of course, Claude has problems with his parents, and then he brings a what at the school because of Caitlin's burning his advances, and Caitlin, having those visions of Claude hurting her. Joey basically told Caitlin that Claude did this to get under your skin. Don't let him win, and he was right. So anyway, got that. Now let's go to the MVPs, like the LVPs, if you will, from each season that I picked. Now, in the original post a month ago, I said Spinner for season one. I'm going to say no to that. I'm going to say Paige, in a sense, in season one. Although, Paige was more of a prick later on in the seasons. I think season one, she was a prick. Due to the fact that she basically got Terry drunk so that she could get Spinner. Basically, she was just, supposed to be the alpha girl at the school and all that. The queen bee, if you will. But Heather St. Clair, the famous unseen character, was challenging her. And they had that Degrassi mini that Paige was Heather St. Clair the whole time. But anyway, yeah, I think it was probably Paige. Spinner and Jimmy kind of were bad in season one for their mistreatment of Quan and all that, forcing her to take a leave of absence and all that. But yeah, Paige trying to win Spinner by getting Terry drunk. And the worst part, of course, is putting Terry and Hazel in her shadow, and Ashley in a sense too. I mean, That was the only thing Rick was right about, was Paige doesn't like people to get out of her shadow. Season 2 is going to be Albert Manning. There is no freaking way anyone was going to beat Albert Manning and all that for Scumbag of Season 2. Emma, you could also say too, but no, Albert Manning, like frig. Why would it be anyone else? So in Season 2, we are introduced to this new guy named Craig who takes photos of Angie and Emma, and we don't know why. But Craig gets beaten up on for almost seemingly no good reason. Like, scolding him for missing dinner on time is one thing, but beating him up is another. Like, Craig's dad was a prick and all that. Craig gets $3,000 for a new camera because he liked photography. I think I did that right. I always stumble at that word. But anyway, he decides to use it to take Angie and him to British Columbia. Unfortunately, though, Joey's not too pleased with it and doesn't know why. Then, Craig plays the chicken with a train. Sean and Emma tell Joey that Craig's problems might be related to his father, and Angie chimes in, and we find a familiar thing. He's grieving at his mom's gravesite, but Julia was the one who left Albert and Craig behind for Joey and Angie in that essence. So Albert's probably using Craig as an emotional punching bag. I would say so too, and physical too. Albert loses custody of Craig for a while and then gets Craig back. And unfortunately, a leopard doesn't change his spots, a skunk doesn't change his stripes. So he, of course, dies in an accident, whether he crushed his car on purpose or he was so mad he lost control of it. Accidentally, he's dead, and Craig is happy that his tormentor is gone. Unfortunately, Albert kind of plays in Craig's mind and may have led to Craig's downfall past season 2. Season 3 is gonna be like, I was gonna go with Jay and all that. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go with Jay. Season 3 is Jay. Basically, it started his one ruining character per season arc and all that. Jay had a track record of making everyone lose their control. And the first victim was Sean. Sean and Emma were an item in season 3, but Emma kept blowing him off because, Snake had leukemia and she had a baby brother. Sean didn't understand. Sean was upset with Emma, calls Emma pathetic and slams a locker at her, but Emma does not flip. Oh, Emma does not flinch. Yeah. And then Jay comes in with his gang and is impressed by Sean's stuff and definitely that kid from Wasaga, so he basically plays into Sean's thing. Sean leaves Emma for the Candy Bandits and a life of crime. Of course, this wouldn't be the last time Jay would do something big. Season 4, he kind of got under on Spinner's bad side, Alex's bad side, Emma's bad side. We all know about that. Season 5, he got JT to sell drugs and all that. Season 6, he got Sean and Peter to do bad things. I wish Jay had been basically outed by anyone, even Spinner, and Jay would have had to pay a massive consequence. But no, he didn't. That's just what makes me tired of him. Season 4 is going to be Rick. Well, this was the season of fill-ins. I mean, how many fill-ins were in season 4? I mean, Rick wins for sure. Well, obviously. I mean, season 3, yeah, he was the biggest prick and all that. But in the end, Rick did something terrible. He brought a gun to the school and shot Jimmy. Although he was tricked by Spinner and Jay. He was going to shoot somebody or himself. That's what we all got from the Time Stand Still thing. And of course, the two-parter was a week apart. Next drop. I mean, yeah, Spinner and Jay are massive villains. Jay is more of a villain in the Rick situation than Spinner because Jay basically didn't give a shit what Spinner or Alex were feeling the first time. I wish that Alex had outed Jay after the gonorrhea attack. Unfortunately, though, it didn't happen that way. It doesn't happen that way. So that's kind of why everything happens. Well, Spinner was terrible. It wasn't just the Rick situation that got him all villainy. You also have to deal with the fact that he kind of was manipulative to Paige. After all, Paige crashed Spinner's car to get back at Dean. No, at Dean's car to get back at Dean for getting away with raping her. I know I shouldn't say that, but that's the truth. Anyhow, so she does offer to pay him back and all that, and Spinner dangles that car in front of Paige. Paige should probably have said, I'm not paying for your car if you're thinking that way. And of course, Spinner openly, actively cheats on Paige with Manny and all that. Also, well, you know, what about Olander? Was he a villain? Damn right he was. He was a stern teacher who took advantage of Paige's weakened state with dealing with men. I mean, Dean got away with raping her. Spinner was dangling his car in front of her like a carrot. Rick came back to the school, and men failed her. She had a terrible arc in season 4, and Olander took advantage of her. Paige, for some dumb reason, that wanted to protect Olander by trying to change courses or change schools and all that. But unfortunately, it wouldn't work out this way. She was trying to avoid trouble with Simpson, but Simpson saw them. But Simpson was totally 1000% going to be protecting his student and not his student teacher. Olander finally cracks. Although Paige and Olander were an item now, but by season 5, she and him broke up. He gave her drugs, and Paige turned towards Alex. People I know were upset, saying, "Why would Paige turn like that? We never saw her feelings towards women like that." If they wanted her to turn, I mean, this was a terrible storyline. I say that. And what about Raditch? I mean, season 4, he was a villain. He definitely wasn't the worst villain in the Rick situation. Rick himself was number 1 for many reasons. But, letting Rick back in the school in the first place, it was basically pouring gasoline on a fire. And all that. You knew it was going to happen. So, anyhow, Raditch screwed everything up. Yes, he avoided Rick and didn't like Rick, in a sense, saying, come back to me when something serious happens. He screwed up with that. But Rick was not straightforward. He didn't say Jimmy was bullying him. I think if he said the magic word, I think Raditch would have taken him at his word. Or even worse, saying, next time this happens, you tell me. I want proof. I want evidence. He should have said that. He's a concrete thinker. He doesn't like when people badmouth him, like JT, Liberty, and even Snake in that season. And he was sent to the curb. I think the school board probably had some kind of settlement with Rick's parents that they had to throw Raditch out and all that. Maybe they did throw Raditch under the bus to save their own butts, their own policies and all that. And they put the clamps down on Degrassi with zero tolerance. Unfortunately for Hatzalakos, she only used zero tolerance in season 4. Season 5, she didn't because of motherly love. And speaking of that, that's my season 5 villain is Peter. There's no one like him. Emma was close. I think Emma probably would be a close second for villains because season 5 really brought out the worst in her. But anyway, Peter was this guy that Emma swooned over because she was trying to get over Hurricane Sean ruining her emotional trailer park. Well, she had the feelings for Sean. We all knew that. And Peter just wanted Manny and all of that. And filmed Manny lifting her shirt to him. So basically, Peter was a prick and all that. He bribes Manny with $3,000. You get $3,000 in cash, or I will release this to the world. And he does. Manny even says she'd go out with him, but Peter says, no, my price has changed. You botched it. So anyway, Peter shows it off to everybody. They're all mad. Paige kicks Manny off Spirit Squad because of the whole thing. Well, I understand. And Emma gets pissed off, not because of the video, but because that Manny swore she would stay off Peter and all that. You're trying to steal my guy. I hate you. But after seeing Manny in a bad state, especially her parents not helping her out. Now, I mean, Manny's dad, like Joseph, is he terrible? I kind of think yes. But you come from your foreign parents push themselves to help their kids to have a better life and all that. And sometimes they're terrible. I mean, Manny's mom was submissive. And in some cultures, that is the norm, which is pathetic. But yeah. But yeah, come on, no one's worse than Peter in season 5. A little season 5 thing, you know, and all that, and getting Emma to date him and all that. Peter had some manipulation, and Emma fell for it. It wasn't all Emma's fault. I say about 20% was Peter, but then Emma becoming a giant prick to Manny by being with Peter. That glow up by Manny, my Emma, blew her chances. Season 6, I think Emma was close to being a season 6 villain. Hell, even Peter could have been a 2-time winner, but unfortunately, the rule is one character, you get one season to be in it, and I think it was Peter in season 5. Season 6, you could also say Jay, but I think it was Lakehurst. The whole Lakehurst situation was terrible and all that. Emma was close, the aftermath of the Lakehurst situation, but I'll explain that later. Anyhow, Lakehurst wanted to go after JT after he shows favor towards Mia and her 2-year-old Izzy. Or was she 3? I think she was 2. JT was doting on Izzy. Manny, Liberty was jealous because, JT and Liberty were supposed to have a kid. Liberty gave up the kid and all that. JT was trying everything to fix the situation. And Liberty was just trying to hide the pregnancy. It almost ruined her. It almost ruined the baby, too. I mean, yes, it was pathetic coming from JT's point of view. But the fact of the matter is that Liberty didn't make matters worse. So anyway, I think that, Lakers was upset. Now, JT could have done the smart thing by dumping Mia off and then just saying, I don't want the school war. I think that probably would have been the best solution. But Ryan Cooley allegedly wanted to leave for college and wanted his character killed off in the worst way possible. But we find out years later that it wasn't the truth. They wanted to get rid of JT. They should have got rid of Toby. I mean, who cared about Toby? But anyhow, he gets stabbed by a couple of Lakers guys, Drake Lampley, the redhead, and Johnny DeMarco. They were there to cause trouble. I don't know if they were there to kill JT or other. But of course, Drake Lampley's in jail. Johnny makes some kind of plea deal, obviously, to avoid jail time and trouble. And I wouldn't put it past, not Lucas. Who was the gang leader? Who was the guy? Oh, Nick. Well, Nick didn't appear after that episode. He wasn't really mentioned. But yeah, I think Nick, Mia's ex, I think he may have gotten some trouble. I think they probably charged him with conspiracy to commit stuff, but I don't think he sent those two to kill him. I think they sent those two to cause trouble. Of course, Emma has the problems in the aftermath. I mean, I don't completely blame her. I mean, it happened steps from her house at a house party that should never have been thrown, but she got coerced in it by JT and Manny and all that. And someone died. Like, I'm shocked. But Emma's upset more so that Manny is now moving back home, and Emma thinks that she's losing Manny. It does show that Emma in season 5 was kind of possessive of Manny. If Manny does something bad, Emma can just kick her to the curb. Emma was just terrible that season. Season 5 was one of her worst. Nevertheless, she did cause a commotion at the cheerleading competition that should not have been held. They should have at least postponed it. But the problem was that because other schools were performing and they needed the schedules fit, and Snake tried to explain that logistics prevented it. It should not have happened. Or at least move to another school or basically have security for Degrassi Lakehurst. I'm surprised Degrassi didn't lose the cheerleading competition. I would have, and Emma probably would have gotten in massive trouble. Of course, Emma and Manny make up, and this is the start of Emma clinging on to Manny completely. Doesn't want to lose her. Yeah. And Emma could have been considered the worst for trying to get Sean to stay with her. I mean, I get it. Emma wanted to be with Sean. She felt like nobody wanted to be with her and all that. She was clingy that season. Season 7's worst is Lucas. I would also say Darcy too, but you got to feel bad for Darcy that she was raped. She was roofied and the guy never got caught and all that. And Darcy was acting out because in frustration. A lot of people do that. So anyhow, Lucas, I think, was worse than Darcy. Lucas in season 7 came over to Degrassi from Lakehurst because of the whole Degrassi Lakehurst merger, because Lakehurst had a fire. Some say it was electrical, some say that it was started by maybe Jay and his crew. I don't care. Anyway, Lucas threw Mia and Izzy under the bus. Some kind of house party. Lucas denies Izzy and Mia in front of the cops, too. He's such a deadbeat. Mia has to sign a promissory note to behave herself with Izzy or else lose her. And practically, Lucas was just unredeemable at this point. It wasn't just that. He also caused trouble towards Snake. When Snake finally gets cleared back to Degrassi, he starts a campaign about Mr. Pedophile, that means Snake, over what happened with Darcy, allegedly. Even though Darcy did tell him that she was scared of repercussions, and she did say that Snake was not inappropriate to her. It played with Snake's mental mind. Emma tried to step in and fix the problems. Spike, for some reason, acted like a douchebag in that episode. It's understandable Spike's actions, but I mean, she even says that don't let Emma get involved because of her eating disorder. Are you freaking nuts? You throw her under the bus? What type of mother are you? Spike leaves with Jack. Emma almost goes, but Emma says, I need to be an adult about this and help Snake, and probably throw shade at Spike. Lucas does kind of try to get better in season 8, but only when his dad causes trouble and comes close to Izzy. But then again, poof, he's gone after that episode, and we don't get a redemption arc. I wish we did. Anyway, season 8's worst is Jane's dad. No question about it. One of the worst Degrassi villains of all time. Although he was only in for a few episodes because Jane says part 1 and 2. He was never in any other episode. Rick was at least in like a dozen. But yeah, Jane's dad was just terrible at all that. Although in season 8, you could say Derek for throwing Danny under the bus and beating up on Jane because of the football team, and the chef for trying to say boys will be boys and tells Jane no special treatment. Well, you don't have to give her special treatment. You just have to listen to her. Shep got bit. The whole principal of the year thing was just pathetic. It showed how terrible he was at school. Fortunately, he didn't get fired in season 8. He could have. He should have. But anyway, yeah, Shep was terrible, and he was exposed for a lot of things, especially with the football team. Well, yeah, but Jane's dad beats them all. I mean, what he did to Jane, and Jane realizing that, her dad would have her way with her, and Lucas was blissfully ignorant, or he might have known, but Jane's dad may have paid him off to keep quiet. But once Jane's dad comes close to Izzy, Lucas finally snaps, saying, I don't want you anywhere near our family, feeling that the cycle of abuse was going to happen again. And he does apologize to Jane, and Jane gives him a pass. But yeah, no one beats Jane's dad for that. Season 9 is Coach Carson. I mean, I couldn't really find another villain in all that. Emma was terrible, but she wasn't really villainy. She was clean more so than that. Maybe I would say Fiona, or maybe Jane was the villain in the Degrassi movie, but I don't want to think about the Degrassi movie as most valuable or least valuable player. But yeah, Coach Carson, that whole storyline with him being with Casey, wants Casey to go after Jenna, even though that he's with Claire, and he had a gun, and Casey brought the gun to the school, not to shoot anybody, but to prove to Hatzalakos, who came back after her leave, and the chef got canned. I think it was simple that Hatzalakos came back from her leave, and Shep was gone. But I think Shep was basically gone too. Allegedly, Kevin Jubenville, the guy who played Shep, didn't want to come back for season 9. He probably didn't like his character. Yeah, Coach Carson's terrible. Season 10 is Audra. I mean, Audra showed her mother bear approach. There's nothing wrong with protecting your kids, but practically to, force Snake to grovel, like fuck, and all that. Now, the students should be kind of villains in season 10 for Vegas night, saying that everything was going to be fixed and all that. The PTA said it wasn't a good idea. Snake almost kiboshed it, but he said, no, I think these students are well behaved. And, he took over from Hassel Eccles and wanted to help the students out. There's nothing wrong with that. The students did betray his trust and all that. But I mean, when, Fitz tries to kill Eli to get Claire's affection, that's terrible. I mean, the Boiler Room saga with Drew, Bianca, and Ali, and then, of course, Holly Jane and Sav, who were supposed to run this event, are in the next room having a striptease thing. There was a lot of problems and all that. And let's not forget about the hazing of Drew and all that forced Riley to be in trouble. Drew knew Riley was gay, but Drew wanted to be quarterback so badly, he didn't want to harm Riley. But, Drew tried to talk to Audra some sense about the Boiler Room, but she wouldn't have it. She was protecting him. She forced the girls into the sensitivity training. It was like, fuck. It was just basically an ego trip by her and to force Snake to grovel. Snake did say the school did betray his trust. And that's fine. I get it. The draconian measures and all that. People lashed out at him saying that he was just basically a kiss ass. I kind of think that too. That wouldn't be the first time I accused Snake of being a kiss ass. But yeah, Audra just got under lots of people's skins. She got better as the season's gone by. I'll be honest with you. Even season 14, when she told Drew to fix the prom after Dallas misbooks the prom boat, even though that Drew was in trouble with Pill over his proposal, and practically he was going to obey her. Audra knew that Drew was speaking the truth about Pill's policies. I mean, the backpacks thing, yeah, I understand. The cell phone thing, yeah, I think so. The cameras, it would have worked if it wasn't for the audio thing and Claire trying to turn back into Emma 2.0. And of course, the whole thing with the no affection policy. That was pathetic. Pill deserved it to be turfed. Snake was definitely going to come back, and Pill was nowhere to be found. She was trying to fix it, that she was going to come back, and she basically thought she was going to come back, but nope, didn't happen. Anyway, season 11 is Casey. You told me to play basketball. What a jerk. Like, he got Jenna pregnant. Of course, he didn't want anyone to find out. His parents to find out. Well, his mom and dad are both in jail, but his mom got out and wanted to get back in Casey's life. Fine. But Casey basically was a terrible dad. I mean, he wanted to help Jenna out, but Jenna didn't really have a support system. Her parents are gone. Her brother's there, but he leaves for a while. And, Casey moves in and, offers to help Jenna. But then he has eyes on Marisol just around the time that Jenna delivers her kid, and, he did the "you told me to play basketball" line. Well, he was an idiot. He was an idiot. Basically, he was with Marisol. Marisol was attracted to Casey because Casey was trying to vent about his problems. But, Casey was kind of redeemable, but not so much. Well, Casey's dad came out of jail. So basically, Casey and his mom had to flee. Yeah, Casey was terrible. I mean, they had to give up the baby. I mean, Casey was only with Jenna because he wanted to be a parent. I understand that, but he was just terrible. Season 12 is no question sick. I know Cam offed himself, but like unlike Claude, he had reason, and people didn't think he was selfish for that. Well, Maya was. But that was a natural reaction for Maya. And all that, thinking that Cam killed himself to break up with her, and she was trying to help him. I mean, she was in that love triangle with Sig, and Sig was a dickwad and all that. Sig was jealous of Maya being with Cam. He got under Cam's skin, got him suspended for a week. But Cam apologized to Maya and all that. He was going to give Maya the stuffed doll Hoot back. Unfortunately, though, Sig got to him first and said, stay away from Maya's life. And Cam took it as a sign to off himself in the greenhouse. Did he slash himself? Shouldn't say that, but maybe. Did he mute himself with garden chemicals like I always alleged? Maybe so. But I think last year I changed my tone about the garden chemicals. I said maybe he drank garden chemicals and then slashed himself. That's possibility too, under the influence. I mean, as a guy who has to work summers at Canadian Tire, like in the soil compound, I know about toxicity and all that stuff. But yeah, Sig was terrible. He did tell Maya the truth that maybe he pushed Cam over the wall and she laughed him off. But Maya was just unhinged, to say the least. Season 13 is the Bakers, minus Becky and all that. You could say Tristan. Tristan should definitely be there in a sense, but like, come on, like trying to Mr. and Mrs. Baker trying to force Becky to lie in court about Luke and protect their golden child, which was one of two things possibly. But yeah, Tristan being terrible to Maya and not seeing the Yates thing is. Tristan found out from Winston about Yates and should have apologized to Maya, but he didn't. He forced Maya to apologize to him in season 14. Fuck off. But yeah, the Bakers to me gotta be the worst. And of course, Luke with Neil doing that vile act to Zoe and all that. Zoe's trial comes up. We see a lot of problems. And then the Bakers try hard to get Becky to protect Luke, saying, you have a Christian honor. Even Luke says that because Luke took the fall for Becky dropping their grandmother's ring down the sink. However, Becky said the next day she came back and apologized and took accountability because that's what good Christians do. And Luke even told her that he did it. That's it. That sealed it. Becky basically decided to tell on Luke, did everything possible. Luke and Neil got 2 years of juvie and all that. The Bakers are upset with Becky for doing that to Luke. But, I mean, I think it might have been found. I think the Bakers probably found out that Luke told Becky the stuff. They put the freeze on Becky in a sense. They couldn't kick her out because, they'd be worried that Becky was going to squeal on them. All that. I wouldn't be surprised if Mr. Baker lost his job as a minister because of this whole thing. Like, protecting your child is kind of a twofold thing. A is that, Luke is a Christian and you're supposed to protect your siblings. And well, I know that one of the commandments is honor thy mother and thy father. But I mean, what if thy mother and thy father are by idiots? But yeah, Becky did the right thing. They kind of put the frozen over season 14. Mrs. Baker does admit in a later episode that she should have talked some sense into Luke because maybe Luke would not do what he did. And then number two for protecting Luke is because, Luke's an athlete and maybe going pro in hockey and, like a cash cow. All that. Okay. Season 14's least valuable player has to be Zoe. It has to be. Degrassi dudes, say no more, Jeff, but I will. So anyway, yeah, Zoe got violated in season 13, and in season 14 she comes back. She wants to be on the cheerleading team, but Becky refuses, saying that she could be a distraction. I get it, but I mean, you're the one who got Zoe out of trouble. But Becky gets distracted by Zoe. She's injured. Zoe takes her spot on the squad and basically becomes captain and wants all the girls to oomph chat for money for new uniforms. What's wrong with the uniforms they got? That's just plain dumb. So basically, she puts the fear in other people. Frankie does get out of it, but Zoe wants to blackmail Frankie, making sure that she doesn't blackmail Zoe back. So Zoe thinks she's fixed the problem, but unfortunately, someone sends those scantily clad photos to everybody on their phones. And practically, it's like a whodunit. It was Winston trying to help Frankie out, but Zoe is angry about this. And then Lola tells her that, you got to fix this problem. They'll hate you now, but maybe not later. So Zoe goes to the cops and tells her story. And then she tries to do community service so that the judge could go lenient on her. But I think Zoe's lawyer would have had an ace up his sleeve because, Zoe was was sexually abused, or SA for sure, and maybe that she was just trying to get in control. I think that's what it is. Some people get assaulted and then turn evil to try to get back their control and all that, and that was just pure stupid by Zoe. And of course, once we turned into Next Class Netflix, helping things out, and then also Netflix making it more darker than it should have been. There was a lot of problems. Okay, so next class season one has to be Hunter. Now the whole thing was that Hunter was an incel. Was this the worst Hunter season one instead of season three and four to do with Yale? Kind of. But, this was worse. So Hunter was part of the gaming club. They get something going and they're happy. Unfortunately, the gaming club, unfortunately, Goldie has a problem with it because the gaming thing that they produce and all that, the female models look a little too provocative. And Hunter says that's just the way it is in the game and all that. We can't do anything about it. And then Goldie suggests re-bowling and all that. So yeah, she was a prick and all that. And Goldie was kind of being a feminist and didn't care about what other people thought of her and making Maya a mouthpiece that almost killed Maya. Nice job, Goldie. But Hunter, for his stuff, ruined the gaming club. He made some stupid comments, and that's why they got kicked to the curb. And he basically makes a list of people who should get hurt. He brings a gun to the school. Fortunately, Miles finds out and stops Hunter before he does something stupid. Hunter is put into, I would say rehab, but put it into therapy and all that, and comes back. And of course, that's when I kind of get mad at Snake because I think that he's groveling towards Mayor Hollingsworth. I even ask, yapping and yelling, like what her channel is like. And I said something about Hollingsworth, and she said, "Yeah, but money controls everything." Yeah, of course it does. Next class season two is going to be the fall. I think. Should I go with Hollingsworth for season two? Um, Not really. I would probably say Frankie and all that. Well, Frankie did some horrible stuff, but I think the volleyball squad just did as much. So I think it's a tie between the Frankie and the volleyball squad. So the volleyball team gets pranked by Northern Tech with a fire alarm, and they have to go outside in scantily clad stuff, and of course, hormonal teens. So anyway, they tried to prank Northern Tech back by putting a poster of them from the zoo with different zoo animals. Unfortunately, the captains are drawn as gorillas, and in black culture, that ain't good. No, that they refuse to play. Frankie says this is about the zoo. They're named the zoo. Yes, of course, but there's different ways around it. So anyhow, Frankie gets kicked off the volleyball team. Everyone's pissed off at Simpson refusing to punish Frankie further, but he says, "What can I do?" It could probably also be that he's scared of running afoul of Mayor Hollingsworth, who could do something to him. Because I think that Mayor Hollingsworth used his influence and power to make Snake not suspend or expel the guys. Like, Miles for fire starter, starting the fire and all that. Hunter for his incel crap, and Frankie for the poster, racist poster. I think he was scared to run afoul of Hollingsworth. But I think the volleyball squad's bad too. They threw Frankie under the bus. They laughed at this. Nobody said anything. Not even Shay said anything. Unfortunately, though, Frankie feels hurt. She tries to apologize, but she couldn't, and decides to run away. And then some guy comes in trying to get help for his car and all that. Frankie locks the windows, but then realizes she's being stupid through rose tinted glasses. Although, he was a stranger. So yeah, so the volleyball team and Frankie were terrible too. Season three, I couldn't really find a fill in for next class season three. Maybe Miles for getting Lola pregnant and causing her to go into the abortion room for the first time on a Canadian TV show. Yeah, I couldn't really find the worst. I couldn't say Tristan because he was in a coma. Anyway, next class season four for sure is Esme. Sig kind of was bad too, but Esme was terrible. The polyamorous relationship with Sig and Frankie just to get a relationship. She was manipulative in the first few scenes of the next class. She did have some trauma with her mother killing herself in front of her. But what's even worse is that the whole thing with Sig. She did not want Sig to come close to Maya at all the times. I think that Esme, and fight me on this, I think Esme was hoping to get some praise for saving Maya, but then when everyone gravitated towards Maya, she was upset and basically needed to try to get everyone back on her side, to say the least. So yeah, she just hated Sig being with Maya. Even though that the red problem by accident, I think Maya tried desperately to get Sig close to Esme again. Seeing Sig getting hurt, Maya almost doesn't go to graduation, but Grace thankfully saves her butt. So yeah, I could have also said Zoe's mom for next class season 4, but her reactions are like, Zoe was probably doing this for attention, and Zoe did push the button a little too much. But yeah, nothing was worse than Esme. Esme comes to graduation, tells Sig these things, and says, I called in a bomb threat for you. And of course, they all thought it was Syed. But no, it was Esme the whole time. She does have to go through therapy, and I wish we knew more about Esme. Okay, so that's it. There were some people with a conversation. Yeah, Calendar Sweaty said, yeah, season 1 had to be Paige and all that. And any season that Zoe is in before next class is Zoe. Any season that is Hunter. Well, one said that season 12 should be Dallas and the hockey team / the hockey team. Yeah, I say the hockey team too, but Sid kind of pushed the buttons too much. Sweet Boy says, yeah, Hunter and all that. A couple of people. Our Sully said Ashley season 1. Nah, not really. The last episode made her terrible, but she wasn't that bad. Season 2 was Dean. Yeah, but come on. Craig Manning's Albert Manning. Come on, that's what it is. Season 3 is Ellie's mom. Kind of. Maybe you're right. Season 4 is Rick. Yep. Season 5, Peter. Yep. Season 6 would be Drake Lampke. Well, and of course, Emma's a dishonorable mention. Yep, I agree. Season 7, Lucas. Season 8, Derek. Oh, Oh, yeah, that's right. He brought a noose to friend Holly J with the I hate Holly J thing, and Derek was basically probably expelled. Yeah, he physically assaulted Jane and all that. But yeah, Jane's dad was a douchebag. Coach Carson. Yep. Season 10 is Fitz and Owen. Yeah, maybe you're right. Season 11 is, well, they said Vince in season 11, Katie in 11B, second half. Vince, yeah, I guess you could. Wait, who did I say in season 11? Who did I say in season 11? I said Casey. Yeah, probably. Season 12, he says Sig with Becky being dishonorable mention. Yeah. Season 13 being Luke. Yep. Season 14 is Zoe. Yep. Araceli says season 1 should be Hunter, then Frankie, then Zoe's mom kicking her out for being a lesbian. That was season 3? I thought it was season 4 when Zoe's mom did that. Okay. And Esme. Yeah, I guess Zoe's mom deserved season 3. Okay. And then comes Sweet Boy doing the same thing for each season. He says Paige in season 1. Yep. Dean for season 2. Yeah. Like him and Albert Manning are close. It could be a tie even. Rick for season 3. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Put Rick in season 3. In season 4, he put Radich. He was so out of touch. Well, I agree, but I mean, come on. Like, you think he's a bigger bully than least valuable player, more so than Jay or even Spinner or, Olander? Get real. I'm sorry, but that's the way I feel. Season 5 is Peter. Yep. And then Peter again, but the rule is one character per season, so Peter can't do 2 seasons. Season 7, Darcy's rapist. Yeah, I say so. Season 8 is the Shep. That kind of makes sense, but I mean, come on, Jane's dad was terrible. Season 9 is Coach Carson. Yep. And then Fiona maybe too, but yeah. Season 10 is Fitz. That kind of makes sense. Season 11 is Connor for the panty raids and all that. And said that I was turned off from him. That's actually true. I thought it was season 10 when Connor did that panty raid. But yeah, I mean, I agree, maybe. Season 12 is the hockey team. Mm-hmm. Zoe and Tristan in season 13. Yeah, Zoe was pure evil. Tristan would have been close, but Zoe I mean, Zoe was pure evil, but you know, all that. Tristan did treat Maya terribly, but come on, Zoe's abusers should have been in season 14. It's the writers. Put the writers. Yeah, I can't agree with that in a sense. But anyway, thanks for watching the LVP video. There'll be more Degrassi stuff to come later, I promise. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.